Hello, children. Today I will tell you a story of the most famous heroes of the time. That is Spiderman. The original name of Spiderman was Peter Parker. I guess everyone knows this. He was an average teenager who went to Middletown High School in New York City. He lived in Queens with his Aunt May and Uncle Ben. Peter Parker was very studious and one of the smartest kids in his school. But he wasn't very athletic and often bullied by the kids in the Midtown High School. One bully always seemed to find Peter and torment him. This bully was Flash Thompson.
Hey Dumbo, you dropped your books.
Peter heard Flash say to him as he walked down the hall.
No, I didn't.
Peter replied. Flash pulled him to the ground and Peter's books and papers fell around him. School might have been tough for Peter, but he was happy at home. He was loved by Aunt May and Uncle Ben. Once Uncle Ben told Peter,
You know, Peter, one day you will do something special with your life. I'm very sure. You are so smart, Peter. You can do anything.
Peter smiled at Uncle Ben and said,
Thanks, Uncle Ben. I just want to be a scientist.
Peter would say humbly,
Oh, scientist is a very important job, Peter. Science is a power. And you should always remember, with great power comes a great responsibility. Uncle Ben, I know. You say all the time. How can I forget?
Said Peter humbly. Then one day, Peter's life changed. On the school trip to the science hall, Peter was excited to see the scientist at work. He was so distracted by the exhibits that he didn't even notice a spider pass through the radioactive waves and head towards him. The radioactive spider bit Peter. He hadn't a clue what an amazing impact this could have on his life. Peter Parker would never be the same. After the bite, Peter adapted many characteristics of Spider.
Ooh, what an amazing feeling. Why I'm feeling so different.
Said Peter. He could cling to the walls. He was very strong and also had spider sense.
What's happening to me? Am I okay?
This meant that Peter was able to detect things that were going to happen. These skills made Peter even very powerful. Peter wanted to keep his identity a secret.
What should I do? Peter
But then he decided to make a costume because he doesn't want anyone to know that he has changed. Peter worked hard to figure out how to use these new skills. Using his chemistry set, he made webs and tried shooting them in the bedroom.
Oh, what an amazing feeling. This is tougher than I thought, Peter
Said to himself. But
once I get the hang of this, I will be able to do great things.
Peter was very excited. Like all teenagers, Peter wanted to make money. He put on his new Spider-Man costume and started to wrestle for a cash. Yes!
I will win the wrestling. Since
He had all of these powers, he could beat all the other wrestlers. Yeah!
one
Night. After a fight, the place where Peter wrestled was being robbed.
Oh my god, what's this? Something's happening. I need to do something. Since
Peter and the owner didn't get along. Peter didn't help the owner catch the criminal. Later that night, when Peter got home, he found out that a robber had killed Uncle Ben.
oh my god, Uncle Ben, no. One
Policeman came towards Peter and said, "My dear boy,
not to worry. We have criminal cornered at an old warehouse.
when Peter heard this, Peter said,
Officer, please excuse me. I cannot talk much. Peter, excuse him.
himself and went upstairs. Peter suited up in the Spider-Man costume and swooped over the city.
I won't leave you. You killed Mr. Ben. Now I'm coming to avenge my uncle.
Said Spider-Man to himself. After traveling from one place to another, Peter arrived at the warehouse. The thief was stunned. Oh! Spider-Man sprung into action. As Spider-Man shot a web and tracked the group, he got a good look at him. Oh,
This is you who was at the wrestling match? I won't leave you. If only
he had stopped him then. If only he had not acted so selfishly. Peter vowed to help others. He would never let anything like this happen again. He remembered what Uncle Ben used to say to him. With great
power, my dear son, comes the great responsibility. He remembered
those words, and they were so true. When Spider-Man entered into the class, he noticed all the kids surrounded together and were discussing some important topic. And they were holding the newspaper. Peter listened to them in the halls. Flash was talking to all the students and reading the article aloud. I think
he's okay. He was talking
about Spider-Man. He's just trying to
help the city. If only Flash
knew that Peter was a Spider-Man, it would have been so different. But of course, he was a schoolmate. He has to keep the secret. The same night, Spider-Man heard about the criminal in the loose in Manhattan. He swung across the bridge into the street to fight the villain who was trying to rob the store. Because now he had sworn himself that he will not act selfishly. He has to protect the city and he needs to work for the people so that he can save the city from all the criminal records. Parker might seem like your normal teenager, but there is a part of him that makes him extremely special. He is a superhero and can scale building and spin web. He is the amazing Spider-Man.